The average family pays AT&T $160 a month for their wireless plan. But what if you could flip that? What if you made it so AT&T would pay you $1,000 every month? In this video, I'll show you how to do exactly that. I'll show you how to create a dividend income you can live on with 7 popular stocks: Microsoft, IBM, Intel, AT&T, Pfizer, Morgan and Cisco. Hey Bowtie Nation, Joseph Hogue here, and you know we love us some dividend investing here on the channel. There is just something about collecting that passive income dividends from your favorite stocks. But how do you turn a handful of stocks into a steady income? For example, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the average family spends about $180 a month eating out, with $35 of that just for drinks. Now, what if that $1,000 dividend check from your shares of Microsoft meant eating out 5 times as much each month, or a hell of a lot more drinks? Or, according to American Express, the average cost of a vacation for a family of 4 is just over $4,500. What if you could go on 2 more vacations a year, all paid for by IBM? We're getting started, but before we do, you know I've got to send that special shout out to all you out there in the nation. Thank you for spending a part of your day to be here. If you're not part of that community yet, just click that little red subscribe button. It's free and you'll never miss an episode. In fact, I've got to give credit for today's video to one of you right there in the comments. Adrian wanted to know how many shares of stock to buy for a dividend portfolio I highlighted a few weeks ago. So I'm going to use 7 of the most popular dividend stocks as an example for creating that $1,000 monthly income, and then reveal a danger most investors don't realize about dividend stocks. Stick around though, and later I'll share those 3 tricks to supercharge your dividend income. First up here is Microsoft, ticker MSFT, and the dividend yield of just 0.89% is the lowest in the group, but I'm going to show you why that might not matter when we look at how much to invest for that $1,000 income. Microsoft has also grown that dividend by 59% over the last 5 years, so you always know you're going to be collecting more money on your shares. Now, each of the dividend stocks I'll use as examples in today's video are quarterly payers, so it's sending you that dividend check every 3 months. You'll still be able to create that monthly income, but it's going to take a little more planning. I'll also link to a video in the description below though for the best monthly dividend stocks, and one video showing you how to get paid every single week. International Business Machines, ticker IBM, has been a dog for nearly a decade, but has actually beaten the market this year, and the dividend yield of 5% is looking very attractive. I'm going to show you how many shares to buy and how much to invest in these 7 stocks as an example later, but I want to get your input on this as well. Which dividend stocks do you want to see highlighted? So scroll down and let me know in the comments below which are your favorite dividend stocks. Intel, ticker INTC, is another stock that has been so disappointing over the last few years because this company used to be such a great investment. Now, surprisingly though, even despite the problems, the company pays out a solid 3.9% dividend yield and has increased that dividend by 34% over the last 5 years. And here's another old school tech stock, but still one of the most popular among investors: Cisco Systems, ticker CSCO, with its 3.4% dividend yield and a lock on the IT networking market. Okay, I couldn't wait, so I'm going to give you that first tip to supercharge your dividends now, and it's adding REITs and BDCs to your portfolio. Now, REITs, or real estate investment trusts, invest in that classic income investment and get a special tax break for passing on all those profits to investors. And that means dividends are much higher for many of these stocks. For example, the 3.2% dividend yield on the Spider REIT ETF, ticker RWR, is twice the average of the broader stock market, and you can find REITs with yields of 5% and higher. BDCs, or business development corporations, pay even higher yields. These companies act as lenders to small and mid-sized businesses and pass 90% of the profits through to investors. The VanEck BDC Income ETF, ticker BIZD, pays a 9.7% yield, nearly twice the dividend that we'll see in these 7 stocks. And best yet, many of these REITs and BDCs pay dividends every single month. I recently put together a video highlighting the 7 highest paying monthly stocks paying an average of 10.8% dividend yield, so look for that link in the description below. 3 more dividend stocks left here, and I'm going to show you how many shares of each. Next is one of my favorite recession-proof stocks, Pfizer, ticker PFE, with its 3.2% dividend and one of the few stocks actually up this year. And here, you can't talk dividend investing without talking JP Morgan, ticker JPM, the largest bank in the United States, and paying a 3.5% yield along with a dividend payment that has grown 75% over the last 5 years. That next dividend stock pays the highest yield in the group, but first, Dividend tip number 2 is using the covered call strategy. Now, this is a great strategy I use to cash flow any stock, even ones that don't pay a dividend, but can also help boost your cash on those dividend stocks. For example, Pfizer already pays a solid 3.2% dividend, but I can go here to the options, and by selling another investor the 2024 call options at $60, I can collect $2.96 a share immediately. That's the premium the other investor is going to pay me for those options. That's like adding an additional 5.9% dividend over the next 16 months, instantly boosting my cash return. Now, I realize that explanation was probably about as clear as mud, but the covered call strategy is one of my favorite ways to not only boost cash flow on a stock, but also lower my risk. So I'm going to link to a video detailing it and all the option strategies I use in the description. I made a video in 2018 to warn investors about AT&T, ticker T, and the shares have gone nowhere but down since then, but this new business focus has me buying the stock. I bought in late December after the spinoff for that 5.9% dividend and a rebounding stock price. And here it is. Here's how many shares of each of those stocks you would need to produce that $1,000 monthly income. And don't get freaked out here, because I'm going to later show you a hack to increase your monthly income. Now, how I found these is you take that $1,000 monthly income and then multiply it by 12 for a yearly amount. Then you're going to divide that by the dividend yield, which gives you how much you need to invest in the stock, and then divided by the share price gives you the number of shares to buy. So you see, the number of shares you need depends not only on that dividend yield, what percentage cash return you get on each share, but also the share price. That's why you need so many more shares of AT&T at just $18 each versus IBM at $132. Now, you can take a step back and use that same idea to get the amount you'd need to invest in each stock to produce that $1,000 income. And here you see it's all about that dividend yield. With the paltry 0.89% yield on shares of Microsoft, you'd need just over $1.3 million invested to generate that income. But getting paid nearly 6% on shares of AT&T means you need less than a sixth of that amount to earn the same money. But now even that amount, $200,000 in shares of AT&T or $300,000 in shares of Intel, it's still way out of reach for most investors. How do you earn $1,000 a month income and not have to be a millionaire? The answer is you can't just look at dividends. This table shows the total return for each stock as well as the dividend yield, so the percentage return you make on both the dividend and the price return each year. I've included how much you would need to invest if you just wanted to use the dividends for that $1,000 monthly income, but then also the amount to invest if you use the total return, and it makes all the difference. For example, look at Microsoft. With a return of nearly 32% each year of the last 5, instead of $1.3 million, you would have only needed to invest $37,000 to be able to take out that $1,000 a month. Even with that 12% annual return on Pfizer, you could have generated $1,000 a month off less than $100,000 invested, less than a quarter of what you would have needed to invest if you were just relying on the dividends. And I know most of you out there are saying, yeah, but I don't want to sell stock to make that income, but it really makes no difference if you think about it. If you take that dividend instead of reinvesting it, you're taking some of that money that could have been used to grow your portfolio, and the portfolio amount stays the same. Well, if you're only selling your returns, then your portfolio amount is going to stay the same in that scenario as well. And this is just a way of looking at stocks. Harvesting those returns as well as the dividends is going to open up an income that would otherwise be out of reach for a lot of investors. And that brings us to our third tip to supercharge your dividend stocks. Reinvest your dividends for as long as you can. Because folks, the only way anyone reaches that kind of investment they need to make $1,000 a month is through growing their portfolio, adding to it each month and reinvesting those dividends to buy more stock. Here, just take a look at the difference 5 years makes. If you invested $10,000 in shares of Morgan in 2017 and took those dividends instead of reinvesting them, you'd now have just over $12,000 worth of stock. Now, that's a decent return for just 5 years, but look at what happens if you reinvest those dividends you receive into more shares. By the end of 5 years, you'd have an additional $2,100, and that difference is just going to keep compounding over time. Just that 5 years of reinvesting your dividends means you're collecting an extra $66 in dividends each year, and over 20 years, you're going to have thousands more in income and returns. Click on the video to the right for a simple dividend stock portfolio that pays you every single week. 12 dividend stocks that will put cash in your pocket every week. Don't forget to join the Let's Talk Money community by tapping that subscribe button and clicking the bell notification.